Where were we? Lincoln and the slaves. So, Lincoln wanted to preserve the Union. That was his number one goal. And here's his generals trying to free the slaves because they didn't know what else to do with them. They beat the South, in these battles. What were they going to do with the slaves? Free them. Lincoln held out hope for the longest time that the South would be reconciled with the North. He didn't want to upset them any further than he had to. But as the war went on and the North took greater and greater losses, he realized he had to do something. And that's how our ancestors got free. Lincoln decided to free the slaves. He needed troops, and he had to be very well aware of the turmoil and confusion that it would cause in the South. Now the slaves are freed. What would the slaves think on the plantation? Would they run? Would they leave? Would they join up with the North? Would they kill their masters? He had to be very well that these were possibilities, and it would have worked to his benefit. And some of you are thinking, well, what does it matter? Our ancestors were freed. That's all that matters. But for a nation that considers itself a moral nation, a God-fearing nation, it's very disturbing to me that what really won out was not that slavery was wrong, but that it was practical, that it was a benefit, a ploy. Not that slavery is inherently evil, not that it is a contradiction to Christian values or to any real value system, but that it was practical that slavery should end. Which this leads me to those of you who consider yourselves Christians. I've often had the question asked of me, when I tell people that I'm an atheist, where do you get your morals from? They almost say it rather mockingly, like, if you don't believe in the Bible, you have no moral system. There's no way that you could be a moral person. And yet, I've just given you proof and evidence that there were people who consider themselves Christians, and yet they committed every sort of atrocity known to man. So, you Christians out there, I have to ask you, where do you get your morals from? I mean, we know that we are Christians in America. African Americans are Christians in America due directly to slavery. There are those individuals out there, whether you're a believer or a non-believer, you've got to get this book. It's called No Apology Necessary. The writer makes the ridiculous statement that he believes that slavery is justified, or was justified, because we eventually became free. Now, if I haven't stressed it before, let me stress it again. The enslavement of our ancestors had nothing to do with them becoming Christians. It was a result of white greed, arrogance, and laziness. That's the reason why our ancestors were enslaved. It had nothing to do with benefiting the slaves. Now, there are those during the time after the fact who made arguments that, it benefits the slave. It's better for them that, they live here as slaves than to be dancing around naked in Africa as heathens. Those justifications came after the fact. It was never their intention that we become Christian. So, again, I ask, where do you get your morals from? From individuals who treated your forefathers no better than animals. And this is the source of your moral system? That is the source why I have become a black atheist. It's not the total answer, but I can't in all good conscience accept a faith that has that sort of history with my people. And that brings me full circle to why I believe that the black atheist has its roots, or can have its roots, in the black experience. For me, whatever it is I believe, I always have to bring it back to, is there any way that this could be a contradiction to my people, to their values, to their beliefs, to our experience? And from what I see, there is no contradiction in this. See, Christians want to forget the past. That's really why the title of that book, No Apology Necessary, was coined. At that time, Christians were making rather pointless apologies. Slavery was wrong. Sorry, guys. Even the Pope came out. We were wrong about endorsing slavery, and our role in it. Sorry, guys. No 10 acres and a mule, nothing. Actually, we had some of us, our forefathers did get at least the 10 acres, which were eventually taken back from them, but that, again, is also another story. But, that's how things operate. And for me, it's definitely a violation that they could behave this way. And that we would embrace their faith. To me, our history leads us to, we have to ask the tough questions. There's no part of American society that we should take for granted. There's no golden calves, and Christianity is not a golden calf. I know that there are a lot of you, believers and non-believers, today who look at the state of the black church and are appalled. When you can walk down the street and you can't tell a drug dealer from the local pastor, you can't tell by the way that they dress, by the way that they speak, there's a problem. And the problem is not black atheists. The problem is within the faith itself. And our goal is, or at least my goal is to point that out. When you've got pastors in purple suits, wearing gold chains, speaking in ebonics and slang, like they're, drug dealers, rolling around with vehicles with spinners on. I mean, you don't look like a Christian. You look like a drug dealer. You behave like a criminal. These people have become parasites on our community and our race, and they need to be called out. And that's why I've done this video. I hope to do many more videos. I hope to hear the responses from both believers and non-believers, and to give you a little bit more about what I believe a black atheist is. I'm looking forward to your responses, and thank you for watching my videos.